right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam aka Marv. Today we have a ton to talk about, a very alarming State of the Union address. If you watched that, most of you probably got the heebie-jeebies about what is to come next. We're going to talk about Taiwan, what is coming from, of course, Chinese media. So we'll talk about all of that and more. So stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Putin will never win the heart of Iran. Putin will never win the heart of Iran. Once was going back, going back right. Once was going back. All right. What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. If you've never been here before, this is a live show. Today, we're going to go over everything that has just happened. Of course, we waited until after the State of the Union address. A lot of people were tuned in. Every channel that I saw and every YouTube, of course, place that was presenting it had hundreds of thousands or 50,000. Actually, probably the most I've seen listen to a specific president there. So lots of things. I was actually listening to it with my sister, and she is over. We were actually over the last couple days planning on kind of what our family would do if something bad or worse happens. There's a lot here. So I think that obviously a lot of people are torn on what is really going on. But one thing is for sure, it looks like that massive world movements are happening at the very least. Now, no matter what you think of why or who is behind it, it definitely looks like all of this preparation was for something. Now, the State of the Union we'll go over in just a minute. Remember, go over to the website. You will see all of the links, every article, tweet, video, picture, document that we're going to show you here today. There's a full bibliography over on our website. You can also sign up for our email alerts, which, again, we use rarely. And if we do end up sending you something, we make sure that it is important. When you go over to the website, you'll see it's very easy to navigate. It is all done by thumbnail. So you'll look for today's thumbnail, which is, of course, two fronts next. And then, of course, once you click on that, you will see that it will bring you to every single article, tweet, video that we are going to show you. Once you get to a yellow bar down at the bottom, that is the web-only content. There was actually stuff that there was so many stories today that there are things in there that probably could have just went in the normal show, but we just had so many stories that we had to go into overflow mode. So there's a ton of stuff down there, an entire other show. Plus, we've been monitoring the China's Daily, the Economic Daily, the People's Daily, Shenwan. We have been monitoring the People's Daily. I think I said that. Everything ends with a daily in China. And the Global Times. We've been monitoring what China is saying because obviously a lot of people are paying attention to Ukraine and Russia, but nobody is paying attention to the left hand over there. So again, we'll go over all of that. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex. What is going on? How are you doing? And what is happening?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So a ton to go over. Just a reminder, if you do want to support us, we're independent. You can go over to the right side of the screen. There are all of our affiliate boxes. If you click one of those boxes, if you want to get food and supplies, you go through those links. And again, that will end up helping the channel, and you'll automatically, in most cases, be credited a discount on most of those products. So make sure to go over and check those out. If there's anything that you were already going to get, that is what we are asking you to do. If you're going to get a VPN, try to go through us. If you're going to get an EMP shield, if you can, go through us. Again, that helps us, and again, it helps us keep everything going. So thank you, everybody that does support that way. We don't get the traditional support that other channels probably would. So let's get right into it. So we've talked about the mystery rocket for now months, I believe. And the mystery rocket was at first a SpaceX 9 rocket. And everybody gave Elon Musk crap because they said, even the European Space Agency made like a backward comment and basically said, we always put extra fuel in our stages so they can, fly around and get into orbit. And everybody made comments about how it was really irresponsible, and then this rocket, it was going to hit the moon. Well, it turns out a couple weeks later, then a lot of groups were looking at it and they said, well, no, it can't be SpaceX. And SpaceX said, it's not us. Then they said, no, it's actually a Chinese rocket. It's a Long March this C-5C rocket from China. Well, China then showed, or at least, said they had evidence that the rocket that they launched was no longer in the air, and they had some sort of evidence that it came down or it was burnt up or they destroyed it or did something. So now they're calling it a mystery rocket. A mystery rocket is about to smash into the moon in 3 days. And mind you, there's all this other stuff going on in the background. We have multiple conflicts possibly arising. And I know that most people have like a solid theory of what they think. Everybody is absolutely sure they know what is happening right now. That much is for sure. I see it in the comments. Everybody's like, no, that's not what's happening. It's this and that. I would say I'm not 100% sure about what is happening, but I do know that I agree with most of you. We know that something big is going on right now. This is guaranteed, the most countries we've seen involved other than the start of 2019, of course, the thing that we've been dealing with for years. Now it seems like everybody's been used to working together, so now everybody's jumping on board. Neutral countries are actually possibly going to be joining military alliances and all of this. One thing I think of is how the kind of new people that are running the world want to take us away from fuel and gas, and they have something else planned for us, an all digital world, metaverse, and of course digital banking and all that. Well, that kind of takes away from the old school way of running things, which is gas and oil, which I believe Russia is pretty dependent on, or likes to have that. And China, again, says that they are actually really advancing fast and all that. But I don't know if I believe that or not. I wonder if they want to be attached to the old ways. Maybe this is two factors and they're going against each other. I think of the Deagle prediction of essentially every ally losing 2/3 of their population for some reason, but yet you look at their predictions for the adversaries and it's kind of like the same or it's gone up. I think about the interactions between China and Russia, and of course the interactions between the U.S. and China over the last 20 years. A lot of people do not know this or didn't follow back then, but in 95, China did kind of the same thing and threatened to take Taiwan. We showed up with this massive navy and we were, big boss man back then, and they actually backed off. That is not the case. We did the same exact thing we did last time, just last year, and we showed up with all these ships. We went right through the Taiwan Strait. We're right on their front doorstep. And instead of stopping the stuff that they were doing, like the war games and things like that, they actually increased. So I do, after looking at what China is saying, it's pretty clear that they are 100%. There's no other option besides taking Taiwan. And when you listen to the State of the Union address tonight, it seems like we know that this is going to happen, or we're accepting that they're about to take it. Because if you listened, he talked about the microconductor buildings that we are going to be building, and Intel made a big point of it to point out the Intel CEO or whoever that was from Intel, and they're making this microconductor chip factory. He very specifically went over how much we need to depend on America and go back to American made. Dex, did you ever get the feeling through that? And we didn't even get a chance to talk about this because we were both watching it separate. Did you ever get a feeling that he was definitely saying that everything's going to be made in America, like it's us, by choice doing that? Do you think it's by choice, or do you think we're just not going to have China to make stuff for us anymore in the near future?
Yeah, I think it's a little of both. I think it was a little bit of, the reality of what's happening, and we have to do this stuff here. And then I think it's also this sugar-coated statement that he can make to help support the plan that he can't get support for to get through the Congress. And that plan, he was sort of trying to put a bow on it of, everything will be made in America, so why don't you guys go sign that plan for me?
And he definitely talked about the plans and the different things he needs passed, and he needs support from Congress. Going back to the mystery rocket, this is supposedly was SpaceX, then it was China. Now we don't know what it was. Going back to kind of what is happening in the current world and the State of the Union, in 3 days, something is about to hit the moon. Just want to remind anyone who's been with me for a long time, maybe they can talk about it in chat. If you remember the videos that went viral, everybody was talking about it, from Drama Alert to, of course, all of my peers here on YouTube, talking about a alleged video that went viral all over YouTube of a soldier talking about something hitting the moon. It wasn't a video talking about something hitting the moon then. It was something hitting in about 2 or 3 years, and this gentleman supposedly knew this information of something hitting the moon, and without the moon, we were screwed. We were basically, the Earth can't survive without the moon, or everything would go crazy. We would have massive flooding, all this kind of stuff. Fast forward a few years, now we've got something mystery hitting the dark side of the moon, which is just funky. Again, if you go back to that, you'll understand. I'm not trying to say that that's happening, but there is always that thing. YouTube went down worldwide, and some thought that it was because they were wiping this thing out, or at least that's what was rumored all over YouTube. Then people took advantage of the trend, and it was a game of telephone from the original video, because the original video was gone. It was gone. All these people said that they saw it. In every video around it, people commented. They said it was at about 250 to 350,000 views in 30 minutes. And it was on trending, and then it just disappeared. And this was a channel that didn't have any subscribers. It was like they created. And remember, this was before those rules went into place after the NZ event, the Zealand. After that event, they changed it so nobody could just go live and start a channel and go live from their phone. They changed that very quickly. Now you have to have 1,000 subscribers to actually go live from your phone. You can go live from your laptop or a computer, but you cannot go live from a cell phone unless you have 1,000 subscribers. That made it so people can't just start an account or a burner account and then go live, or people cannot cover live things that aren't on YouTube and established and have their info in there and all that. You can't just make a fake email and go live from your phone and say cover riots or protests or whatever else. So that happened. It says an out-of-control rocket the size of a school bus will smash into the moon this week. The impending collision has sparked a conflict of words over who's responsible. Here's what we know so far. It says, when will the rocket hit the moon? According to astronomers, the rocket booster will hit the lunar surface on March 4th. Some said the 3rd. Again, now I think it's changed a couple times back and forth. After spending nearly 8 years tumbling through space. Yeah, one thing I don't get is, I guess they found it 8 years ago, maybe? But how do they know if now they don't know if it's the SpaceX and they don't know if it's the Chinese rocket? How do they know how long it's actually been in orbit? I don't know. It says it will be the first man-made object that has crashed into another space body without being aimed there. The collision will occur on the far side of the moon as the 1-ton hunk of space junk is traveling at around 2.6 kilometers per second. It is expected to produce a cloud of debris and leave behind a small crater, though no serious damage will occur. The smash-up poses no threat to humans or spacecraft. Another theory, and I'm just going to say this sounds pretty wild. Some are saying that this is actually a group of people that are leaving Earth, and there's no way for anybody to see this thing hit the far side of the moon, and that something is about to go down here on Earth. I told you it was crazy, but again, that's what people are chittering about and talking about in different forms. So I'm not saying I believe it, but I've had so many creepy feelings about this whole ordeal. Nothing would surprise me at this point. As far as something, a mystery rocket, a man-made thing, so possibly a rocket with people in it, maybe it's not 8 years old, maybe it was launched a few months ago or something, is going to hit the backside of the moon. Now, if you have data that shows exactly where it is and what it is, and that it's not a man-made, man-loaded mission, then let me know. Email me, adam@marfooglenews.com. Either way, it's kind of odd. We'll see what happens in 3 days. I'm sure that it will be nothing, but again, definitely had to cover it. We have been following this thing for now months. NASA exploring ways to keep ISS afloat without Russian help. So if you didn't notice, the entire world and all sorts of different agencies are pulling out of Russian things. And it seems to me like, for the people that believe that, say, Putin and president and everybody is in on this, I don't know why anybody would volunteer to have the whole world hate them like this. If you listen to the State of Address, obviously our president just smashed down, and the whole world, the media is making the whole world absolutely just hate Putin directly. And it almost sounds like they're trying to get the whole world's support to just get rid of Putin. That's just my opinion. What is yours? Tell me in the comments below. But they said, because Putin's not exactly a great guy, but I don't know what is truly happening behind closed doors with this entire thing. But it does kind of change the last couple months of what people have thought about it. And now they are surely pulling out a ton of stuff, including one of my friends, Lloyd. He sent me a message basically saying that, about how BP and Shell are pulling out, these big oil companies. And he was saying, maybe they know that Russia is in some way about to get spanked, so they're getting out of there. There were still Exxon and a few other companies that stayed in, but it looks like maybe the energy sector may now be the next option or the next thing that happens. We are still looking at the response of possibly having a cyber attack as kind of a back and forth, or at least that's what they say, right? As far as the ISS, we talked about previously how the ISS supposedly needs Russians' help to stay up there, and that was one of their threats. Dex, do you want to talk about why, what we talked about previously with the why Russia needs, why we need Russia to even have the ISS afloat?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's obviously parts, components. Part of the craft is, helped. It was like a coordinated effort between a lot of countries, but mostly U.S. and Russia to build and support. And so all of the Suez launches and the people that have gone, the Russian cosmonauts that have gone up, in addition to our own. Now, mind you, we did start sending our own astronauts up with SpaceX. So we were able to say, hey, we don't have to pay that high ticket bill to fly up on the Suez and be reliant totally on Russia to get there. But there are still many other components and things that are going to be, we're relying on them. So this kind of, and by the way, there's like this treaty between us and them when it comes to space that we're supposed to be able to work together, even if we have these differences, right? That was supposed to be able to set all that stuff aside and happen. But because now it seems like everything that, we have anything to do with has anything to do with Russia, we're cutting it off, whether it's, the things that were announced tonight, or all of the other stuff, or people pouring out vodka. I mean, it's the anti-Russian sentiment is through the roof when it comes to, not only the mainstream, but even the politicians and the government and what they're doing. So it's really hard to look at this and say, okay, this won't be affected. Like they're just going to be fine and everybody's going to be good. It seems like this will be yet again one of the other things that's going to be played. I almost jokingly think in my head they're telling the Russians to sleep on their side of the ISS. You're banished over there to your capsule or something like that. I don't think that's really happening, but at least that's what we're being programmed to sort of feel and hear in
why don't
space now.
You take a long moonwalk off of a short ISS dock. That's what they're saying. So as far as if you've seen, they're even trying to say taking the word Russian out of Russian dressing, stupid things like this. And in other news, apparently Russian roulette will now be called getting the... Yeah. That's apparently what that will be called. And then, of course... and
mainstream had to cover Stoli. I don't know if you heard that.
Yes.
Stoli vodka got all up in arms. They're actually made in Latvia. They used to be Russian, but they were banished ages ago. But everybody was banning them because they thought they were Russian. And of course I did too. Everybody just thinks, Stoli's Russian vodka, but it's not. So they're like running around even trying to get MSM to help them tell everybody, don't pour us out.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like in the beginning when they named the thing that went around, and the beer company that makes the very Mexican beer, they were pissed off because everybody was like, this is the worst thing ever to have the V named after essentially your beer name. It was pretty bad. That's why partly there was millions of dollars donated to different causes, and they said, please, Congress actually helped ask for a name change to CV19. Errol the Wrestling Mermaid, much love, Marf. Take care of yourself and your health, and you rock. So does Dex and the mods. Would love to be a mod and come over and watch me one day. Peace and love from Mike and I. Glad to hear you guys are doing great. Greg Davis says, do you think they're just covering a small asteroid and the coming debris field? This could be the start of all of the coming cataclysmic events. So a lot of folks do not know that they have actually told us in mainstream science that in 2030, because of the moon's wobble, this was something they told us about last year or 6-7 months ago, something like that. And they told us that because of the moon's wobble, to expect massive and catastrophic flooding and earthquakes in the 2030s. In 2030, we'll have all this crazy stuff happening. And I'm thinking, you connect dots that maybe should be connected or maybe shouldn't. I don't know. But they're telling us that we're going to have catastrophic flooding across the planet because of the moon's wobble. So what if something that hit the moon or, screwed us up and affected it? What if as far as, how Space Force and NORCOM and CENTCOM all had huge officials, and two leading huge high-ranking Space Force officials said that there's a conflict going on above us right now. What if that was actually part of that? What if that was loaded with, say, a nuke, and it was going to, it was a new technology and it would shake the moon up, and they've already done the math on how it would affect Earth and where would be okay and where wouldn't, and the floods it would cause. And, what about that? Like, that would be a crazy thought, right? I wouldn't be surprised by anything at this point. Prairie Wind, oh my God, they're actually trying to cancel the country of Russia. Yes, cancel culture is a B. And then Joseph Newhouse on separate note, New Secrets of Dumbledore trailer. Kind of interesting, made a follow-up address video on the way. Yeah, there's lots of crazy things in media. And then Brian Cunningham, happy Tuesday. Thanks for putting in work and putting out great news. Thank you. Errol the Wrestling Mermaid, hey, Marf, Dex, and Mods. Mike is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I will check out your YouTube shows together. I would love to see what you guys... I've always seen your comments. I don't know what you guys look like. And then the Smoking Stylist, I'll get back to you. NK, firing of ballistic missile into the sea deemed absolutely unforgivable by Japan. So, as you may know, in January, NK fired over 7 launches, and some say 8. And now they have launched just a couple days ago another. And it says amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine, NK reportedly launched a ballistic missile on Sunday after a month-long break from weapons testing. The missile, which was fired toward the sea, was Pyongyang's first launch after ceasing all weapons tests during the Winter Olympics, hosted by its ally, China. It says South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff reportedly said that the missile was detected from the Sunan area in the NK capital at around 7:52 a.m. Japan's defense ministry said that it traveled some 300 kilometers, or about 186 miles, at an altitude of about 385 miles in the sky before landing outside of Japan's exclusive economic zone, according to the Associated Press. South Korea's General Woon In-chul, chairman of the JCS, and U.S. General Paul LaCamera, commander of ROK U.S. Combined Forces Command, held a video conference after the missile test, according to the Korea Herald, during which both parties committed to maintaining a firm defense posture. So, just throw out everything you know about what's going on. What are people feeling right now as far as NK doing all of these tests, China making all of their commercial ferries to go take Taiwan, of the State of the Union basically saying, the future is all America. Like my sister, who's not too about politics, she just felt like just the way that it was this pre-war, hoorah, we're America, and it was this big it's going to be made in America again. We need to secure our borders. Oh, America. This was coming from this president, by the way. What do you think about this? How do you get the feeling of them now making these micro semiconductors here and everything here? Do you think they're saying that or making that a point because, now we're not going to have Russia to make our stuff? Russia doesn't really make too much of our stuff. We have different imports from them, but again, most of our imports are from China. So are they kind of telling us preemptively, like, hey, this is what's coming next? What is your opinion on it? I will open up the on-screen chat so we can show that. And then it says, hear anything about Kazakhstan people overthrowing their government? Anything with volcanoes or earthquakes? No, I have not yet. But again, we will look into it and get back to you tomorrow. Yeah, very, very odd stuff going on. And by the way, the test also occurred on the same day that Russian President Vladimir ordered his nuclear deterrence forces on high alert. The move, which continues to make headlines around the world, was a direct retaliation for the unfriendly economic actions and aggressive statements made by NATO countries against Moscow. One thing that I heard over and over again today was a lot of people thought that the EU actually accepted in Ukraine into the European Union. That is not official yet, but what they did is they kind of accepted their application and said that, you're kind of in a preliminary section here. There's a huge process to doing it. They say that they want to fast track it, but we don't know what fast tracking means. Like if it means in a year, 2 years, if it means next week. Dex, have you heard that today too? A lot of people thinking that that happened.
Yeah, and we're going to cover part of it, at least the acceptance. But yeah, I think a lot of people were saying that they thought, because they've accepted it, they meant that they're in. And it's really, there's a process to it. And by the way, the EU really, I'd be shocked if they actually took a country in that was in the middle of a conflict, because it's very risky for them to do that. It's extremely risky because they have the same pact that NATO has, that if there's an attack on one in the EU, because they're a union together of countries, that they have to defend everyone. So they would just instantly be accepting a conflict with every country, and they would probably say, yeah, we'll let you in, but get your country in order and settle your differences and make sure everything's stable and peaceful before we do that.
I mean, if they said tomorrow somehow they fast tracked them in, what would you think as the audience? What would you think? Would that just make your heart sink? Would that make you creeped out? And by the way, just want to get a general feel of, don't answer if you did not watch the State of the Union. Did you get a bad feeling from tonight's State of the Union, like a gut kind of creepy feeling from what the president was saying? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. Don't answer, press 3 if you didn't watch it. Again, 1 for yes, got a creepy feeling from it, 2 for no, and then 3, I didn't watch it. You could put a 4, I don't care, and I hate it, but just do 1, 2, or 3. Wow, I am kind of blown away by how many people watched it. Again, don't answer if you didn't watch it. Okay, well, I mean, do answer, number 3. But that is a lot of ones. Yeah, I mean, any other speech, he doesn't get people watching. I mean, that's just the fact. You can look, and there's probably 4,000 or 5,000 watching the White House on most of the smaller speeches. Of course, big ones like this is the State of the Union. A lot of people are tuned in because everybody wants the update on the conflict, but that is a lot.
Yeah, there was no conflict right now. There would be nobody watching. Well, not nobody. It'd be very small.
Yeah, I mean, well, a lot smaller than it was. It was huge. And then the student who tracks Elon Musk's private jet on Twitter now targeting Russian oligarchs. We covered this guy because he created a system, an algorithm. Dex, do you want to explain what he did? Because, like, you understand it a whole lot more what he's doing. He's making bots, right?
Yeah, he programmatically looks at the information on specific planes using what is available in, say, Flight Radar, as well as what's available in other databases like the ADBS and other stuff, because there's certain things that you just can't always see. Even if they want to hide, they can still show takeoffs and landings and other things in other databases that the FAA publishes. So he writes a program, and based on a specific plane's call sign, he'll then go through and look for that and see, okay, if it did take off here, if it's hidden and not showing where it's going, then he'll just track the updates and then say, okay, well, if it's starting to land here, or it looks like it's landing here, then he'll say, okay, obviously it flew from point A to point B, and let people know. That's the extreme difficult one. The easy one is to track the ones that are publicly available and showing up on, say, Flight Radar, the tools that we all look at when we're just kind of looking up and seeing what's flying in the sky. But he picks them out, and then he just tracks them, and it automatically publishes to Twitter. So if you go to his Twitter feed, I think it's oligarchs jets, and if you go there, you'll see the updates. Anytime one of the oligarchs takes off or lands, it'll show information about, you know, who they are, what their jet is, and where they left from and where they landed.
And Elon Musk actually offered him money. It wasn't much. Elon Musk directly messaged him, and I guess this guy is a big fan of Elon Musk. He directly, DM'd him on Twitter and said, hey, how much money do you make from this Twitter account? And he said, like, I think it was like $20 a month or something, like, basically he offered him $5,000. And because he said, this is actually a risk. Like, I've got all these crazy people, and your system is so accurate, it is tracking my private jet. Even if we don't list anything publicly, how his system works and how it grabs information, it was tracking Elon's personal jet around so well that people were able to find him. Media companies were using this kid's Twitter to find Elon Musk, and what do you call it? The big one, the 3-letter, tabloid magazine, the TMZ. They were following him around via this Twitter, and they were finding it was 100% accurate, or 99%. And Elon said, this is scary. Like, I've got crazy people, and everybody knows where we are. And, there's certain things. So he offered him basically a year of what he would make, or something. And the kid said, well, if you add another zero to that, like 50,000, or you give me a Tesla, maybe that. And then he ghosted him. Elon ghosted the kid.
He later blocked him.
That or blocked him. I don't remember him blocking. I think
he did. He later blocked him. It came out, that he had said that Elon blocked him.
That's kind of messed up. Well, I mean, I get it, but $5,000, you're the richest dude on the planet. If that was really like bugging you, like, just throw $100K or something. That's chump change to him. You realize $100K times 10 is 1 million. 1 million times 1,000 is 1 billion. He's then got 200 more of those. I mean, like, he's got enough to buy cities or states. He could buy an entire state. All right, and then before we move on to China, turns tables on the U.S., says human rights violations. I actually grabbed this off of, I believe, the People's Daily or Economic, or wow, this is actually on Newsweek. Oh, so you took the one that I grabbed from the China paper, and you found us covering it, huh?
Right. Yeah. The China one was really short. This one went into more detail, but you can certainly get the gist of it.
I'm not surprised we reacted. So I just thought I thought it was funny. Before I do, though, I want to remind you, with everything going on right now, it would be a smart move to look into why they are preparing, and by they, the U.S. government and other governments around the planet, preparing for an EMP or a possible CME, a solar flare. Solar flares are more guaranteed. There will be another Carrington-level event. It's just a matter of when. As far as an EMP, NK, China, Russia, any of them are capable. In fact, Russia gave the plans for a super EMP to NK, who has been launching like crazy. NK also has satellites above us that could do an EMP above us. And this is something that the government has warned us about. DHS back in 2018 actually made an actual EMP resilience report that said that every American citizen should have 6 months to a year of food because of the potential and the high risk of this happening as far as our whole grid going down. 90% of people would perish because they would not have drinkable, potable water within a matter of time. I believe it was in the first year. So if you do want to protect your stuff, and of course this is part of a multifaceted plan as far as if you want to protect your home, also have a generator, then you'll be able to power your home. If you have the car device, it will protect your car and you'll be able to drive. But you also have to have backup plans for that as well. If you can't drive because there's no, the cars are stuck on the road, then you may want to have it on your motorcycle. Again, go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. You will get $50 off per device. So then you can do, again, multiple. That also stacks on top of any sale they are doing. We have a grandfathered in discount that was way before they worked with agencies like DHS, DOD, and of course the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. This is an American-made product, 100% American-made. Not any of it is made in China, and it's a veteran-owned business. So you're supporting an American-made company. You're also supporting our channel, and you are saving money and protecting yourself. That's, again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. Don't wait until it's too late. Again, do this yesterday. And then China turns tables on the U.S., says human rights violation worsened. Now, I just thought it was funny because when you saw there was multiple pieces in different Chinese medias that essentially was accusing the U.S. of all of these violations. It says, as China continues to face scrutiny by the U.S. for human rights abuses against ethnic minorities, including allegations of genocide, China has flipped the script, claiming America's human rights violation worsened in 2021. The U.S. Department of State continues to document China's human rights abuses and recently imposed sanctions against the nation for detaining over 1 million Uyghurs, a predominantly Muslim ethnicity minority in the East Asian nation, as well as other Muslim minorities and internment. And of course, the U.S. alleges the Chinese Communist Party is inflicting torture, physical and abuse of nature, mass surveillance, family separation, and the repression of culture. But what's funny is now they are telling their people that we are also doing the same thing. So it's kind of like a flip-flop, every country is saying that the other country is the bad guy. But I do believe that, I do believe actually some of the stuff that they picked out, they were able to pick out some real ones as far as some of the stuff that we did to our people last year. But again, you can go through the list. Again, what was that?
Yeah, and I was going to say, Adam, it's funny because you're looking at the American version of the story, and the whole thing's loaded up with what China did wrong, right? And I think you got to go down like 3 paragraphs where it says China says or something like that to get to the part of what China was saying. And by the way, on the website, I did link the China article if people want to see it. It's really short, not as big as this one paragraph that's in here. But yeah, they are saying and trying to flip what has happened in our country especially like politically and freedom wise and things like that, as human rights violations.
Yeah, they took the what happened with the day where we picked our prez. They took, of course, all of the things that happened, the mass bang bangs in the U.S. Those are all human rights violations, or they turned a lot of them into it. So it's just, I think it's interesting to see how different countries take the accusations and also spin what is happening. We definitely spin what is happening in other countries. I mean, look at what is happening right now. Redeemed, thank you so much. Huge. Thank you for supporting over on YouTube. I really appreciate that, Redeemed. Nice to see you again tonight, and thank you as well. Thanks for supporting. Over on DLive, I hope that everything is working okay on DLive. Let me know if it's not. Zippy Moons, got to catch some Z's. God is good. God is great. God bless us all. Thank you for everything, Adam, Dex, and Mods. Thank you. I love Jesus forever. Thank you for the lemon. Mary XX, Vicky K, thank you for gifting out badges. And then Jammer, thank you for gifting out badges. Truth wins. I feel like you. Dex and Mods have our back and give us the truth. Watching since 2019. Truth equals trust. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Jordan B. Bear, thank you as well. And then, of course, Analog by Nature and everybody else that's popped into the DLive crew. Thank you guys. Divine 1122, Mary XX, and Mrs. Happy Dog. Thank you. Defense official says that the U.S. is watching China while supporting Ukraine. Dex, do you want to go over this?
Well, as we've been discussing and we've been saying, hey, there's this lull in time of what's going to happen in China due to the Chinese New Year and the Olympics. But, keep an eye on this because it's probably going to kick back off. And of course, we started seeing it, whether it was NK doing more launches or China doing more incursions on Taiwan. And then so what we're hearing, at least from our defense officials, or at least our military, is coming out saying, hey, we're not ignoring that. We're paying attention to it. And I think we actually do have a couple of carriers that are probably still over there in that region. I think at one time we had 2 different carrier groups, both in the South China Sea. And we also had a lot of other activity going through some of the other areas near Taiwan. So I know we're there, and I know we have a strong presence, and we'll probably continue to. But it is absolutely important for us to not, to ignore one hand because we're busy with the other. We have to pay attention to both of these, because if one, completely distracts us, then that is the opportune time for the other to get set off, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you realize that the invasion of Taiwan can happen so fast because they are only just a little bit over 100 and something miles off of their coast from Fujian, and they can take Taiwan extremely quickly. In fact, if we are not posted up there with our Navy at all times, or big chunks of it, then they will be able to take it extremely quickly. What they will do, and there have been many kind of war games put together to kind of map this out and what would happen. They say that they would most likely, they would start it. Taiwan would put mines out, which is, again, I think it made a huge kind of impact that Taiwan passed the law and said that they could start placing mines. That should tell people the timing on this, as far as that it should be happening soon. That is one of the last steps you do before a beach kind of invasion. They are possibly setting up right now. We don't know. As far as it would be a beach invasion, they would come with many waves, hundreds of thousands of troops, and China knows that we would get involved, and they would actually try to knock out some of our communications, or at least the communications in the Indo-Pacific. And they also know something. China has actually looked at this, and I want to point out that I have talked about the whole India situation and where India falls as far as this Ukrainian thing. Remember how I said that India all of a sudden pulled back their military from the Himalayan mountains, where they have this argument over who owns what? In fact, India wants to take back Tibet. If you've ever heard free Tibet and all of that, that's because they want to have Tibet on their side of the border. China wants that as well. So they've been arguing over the Himalayan mountains for all this time, and they're mortal enemies. Well, China, in papers drawn back all the way to 2008 and 2015, they thought that when they take Taiwan, and they've been, thinking about this since 1995 when they first said that they were going to take it back. They said that at the same time that they are taking over Taiwan, they would get a little bit inland, and then the U.S. would get involved, that we would be fighting U.S., and then, of course, they said that their guess is that India would also take the opportunity to then invade from the other side of the country. This is from their China intelligence and their war games. They said that freedom fighters in Taiwan would then, in India would start taking Tibet and start heading in that way. So just a thought, what if they have worked something out with India and said, hey, you can have Tibet back, but you got to join us in this next conflict. All of a sudden, just a few months ago, before all this went down, they pulled back all of their people after throwing each other off of cliffs a couple weeks before that. And then all of a sudden, India is drilling with Russia in their Navy drills. Think about that. Russia and China are no limits partners, and now India is basically partnering up and saying that they back up Russia as well, at least militarily. And then India is now financially tied very closely with China. They are part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which I showed you the info and the data on that. So just imagine this. Imagine if they said, hey, India, we're going to give you Tibet. We're going to give you what you've wanted this whole time. But we want Taiwan, and we want you to join us in this next thing. And maybe China's thinking ahead. Maybe China's thinking the whole world. Or split it with Russia. Who knows? Or split it three ways with India. Dex?
Well, India is in bed really deep with Russia for a lot of things, including military stuff. Just like I think they kind of buy from a lot, right? But they have enough connection with Russia on this. And to prove that point, when the UN had their resolution, they were drafting their resolution to condemn the invasion. India said they wouldn't even vote. They just said they were going to stay out of it. They didn't want to vote for one side or the other, while both, Russia and the U.S. were asking India to pick a side. They chose not to. They just said, we'll stay out of it.
Yeah,
that may change, by the way, because in the news today, I just read that an Indian student was unfortunately perished in Ukraine. So that's making headlines over there. So that might sway their sentiment, but it does sound like they've got a lot of political and military ties with Russia that makes it difficult for them to stand up again.
And it very well may go as China planned, or war gamed out, and possibly India will go in there and try to take the other side. Well, we're fighting with them over Taiwan. That may be the case. I'm just saying nobody should be surprised if somebody flips last second, because if China for some reason said, hey, you have Tibet, we want Taiwan, over principle, they've been since 1995, they had this thing. And back in 1990, if you look at what they did from 1995 to now, they are now the largest Navy by over 60 ships. And now some say over 100 ships larger than our Navy. Now, those are, of course, bigger numbers. We have bigger ships in a lot of cases, but now that's even shrinking. They have been mass producing massive Navy ships, and they're not even counting the 12,000 shadow military Navy that they have as far as these fishing boats that have armored hulls, and then they're outfitted with 50 cals and things like this. They're outfitted as fishing boats, and it's secret. They'll have it so they can hide it or put something over it in most cases, or they'll even let it out. So they'll even have fake nets that are out for satellite images, because they can turn their transponders off if they are a fishing boat. So that's not even counting that. They have, over the last 20 years, 25 years, 23 years, they have mass produced, and now they are a larger Navy. Now, instead of backing off the second we rolled in there with our carrier groups and everything else like they did in 95 with Clinton, they said, no, F you, and they kept doing their flyovers, and they kept going into their, unidentified, into their ADIZ, their identification zone, they kept going in. So it is a lot different. A lot has changed. So people need to look at everything that's going on, and I understand that everybody's confused right now. But I mean, look at the facts of what money every country has done, the things they have ordered, the things they have prepped. We are so far away from the last conflict. Our generation and even our parents' generation really didn't experience a world conflict like our grandparents in a lot of cases. If some of you are old enough to remember WW2, or if you knew of it enough to actually realize that this is a real possibility, we are in a huge, long period of peace, and I think that peace is over. And that's my opinion. Again, I may be wrong, and I will most definitely, I may eat my feet, I hope I do. I hope I am wrong. Simply Pony, hello, Marfooglers. Be safe, be prepared. Here comes the Pony Show, pun intended. Simply Pony, thank you, and it's nice to see you again. QH777, what will Pakistan do in all of this? Do in all of this? Yeah, there's a whole lot going in the Middle East too. We haven't stopped watching that as well. Went home on leave, says Pete, near a major base in Alabama. Several flights of Pave Hawks and Apaches on exercise of late. Unusual even for the area. So went home on leave. So you were serving near a major base in Alabama. Oh, for work, like you were on leave from work. Near a major base in Alabama. Well, Alabama and places like Georgia, like where Dex is, they're covering on local news. They're moving tanks all over the place. They're moving artillery. They're moving generators all over the country. Don't believe me? Just take a gander, just regular people's Twitter all over the country. You'll see all of these videos of convoys going everywhere. You'll see local news covering it and basically telling people not to panic. It's just normal movement. All at the same time. Everything else is going on. Superficial Dumb, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the Foogle fam. And as always, if you subscribe during the show, you will get a shout out. Thank you so much. And then as far as Russia and China, they seek to expand their military influence both regionally and globally, with Russia having invaded Ukraine and China seeking the wrest control of Taiwan. It says, quote, the United States is at a pivotal moment with our allies and partners in meeting the challenges of today and tomorrow. Mara Karlin, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Strategy, Plans, and Capabilities, said, referencing Russia and China. Security cooperation is an important tool that helps keep key allies and partners strengthen their defense and enhances our ability to rely on another in a time of need. The forthcoming National Defense Strategy will emphasize how the department will strengthen these alliances and partnerships to advance national security through integrated deterrence. They always talk about deterrence, deterring these things. There's no deterring this at this point. They are going to take it, and I think that's why we are planning. We're having backup plans made. Forget about two conflicts. U.S. is reluctant to fight even one. So I picked this out of Global Times because this is their view on things. This is China's side, and this is a president-approved message out to their people. You have to remember all of their newspapers have to be approved by the Chinese government directly. Some of it all the way up to the very top. I'm sure that Xi doesn't have, he can't look at every single story, but actually I might. Because if you look, Chinese news is a lot slower. They don't, most of those papers do breaking news after like a couple days, or they will have an op-ed and it will be something that they have made sure that they clear every word of it. Dex, I don't know if you knew that, noticed that, every time when you go to the Chinese medias, have you noticed that a lot of the stuff, it's like, some of it's 7 days, 8 days old and it's still on their front page? I think it's because they have to clear everything before they publish it.
Right. And I think that they sort of program their front page and they hide everything else. Like, even when the invasion started with Russia, it didn't even make front page on any of the China media outlets. And it was intentional. They actually had put out a statement, and it got leaked saying that how they were going to manage that. And they said, hey, don't talk about it, let it, leave it under for now as it was happening. And yeah.
Well, just remember a couple months ago in November, they told all of their people to prepare for basically to have extra food, extra water, extra supplies. I mean, it's not like we're connecting dots from crazy, it's not everything. It's like the example I used before with how these scientists and astronomers see stars far out and the gravity is pulling in these items and they can see these stars and different things getting pulled in, but what they can't see is the item or the thing that is creating the gravity that's pulling it in. Now, that all may be BS, but it's still the same kind of point. What they're seeing is the items getting pulled in from all sides, but they cannot see directly what the item is that's causing it. Now, people have thought, oh, this is Planet X. Again, but the point is, this is what I think. It's like there's this huge item and you see all the things surrounding it as far as them massively spending, grabbing, using eminent domain to grab night vision goggles, to put silencers, and they bought thousands and thousands of silencers. The DHS looking for portable checkpoints for wearable radiation detectors, for broadband walkie-talkies that can go 3,000 miles and go across the country like right away. Dex, the mass fatality tracking system. Why would they need that? Right? They needed all of this. This was just one kind of quota that went out to different small businesses. DHS wanted them to build in a hurry. As far as like this goes with China, everything that they have done, they've built all of this stuff. It's like, how is it not clear that at some point there's going to be a massive conflict? I think that people's human nature gets in the way, and they don't want to believe that's ever going to happen. They want to believe certain parts are all going to be fake in this, but I don't think the actual conflict, people will get hurt. People will perish. Just think about the very back end of any of your theories. Getting rid of some people on Earth is actually kind of the root of all of these plans. So think about how they're going to do that, people. So that's what I don't get. It's like, do you remember the whole, population reducing thing? Yeah. If you believe that, then it's kind of a good way to do it, right? And basically, this is their view, and they say that the U.S. cannot focus on two theaters, and back then they could, and it's kind of plays out how they thought back in 95. They thought, okay, back then they could. They actually say it in here that back then they could fight two full wars and a half, like a smaller conflict. So they could, fight Russia, China, and say, over in Afghanistan or something. Now they say that they can't even, we're reluctant to even fight one. They say that we're proving it by not going in and fighting on the front lines with Ukraine. They're basically saying that they're watching us, and they say that they don't think, this is them observing what's happening right now, and they said we can't even handle Russia, let alone do we have the ability to go and take them out as well. Dex?
Yeah, I don't understand why they would say this, because it's not necessarily the same. We're not going and crossing the line into Ukraine because we're not trying to escalate beyond what it is, right? In theory, we're saying, hey, we're only going to do what we have to do, which is protect NATO, and we'll send money, send supplies, send other things. But if we know that if we step foot in there, then we're actually fighting against Russia, and that creates a whole new ball game, right? And that I get why we're not doing it. I don't think it's because we can't. I think it's because it will completely change the dynamics of this globe.
Well, that's what they're saying. The reason is so. Whether it's true or not, I mean, that's what would happen. And I personally think that they're going to get there anyways. They're just working it up and working up the American people and having hate in our eyes. And And remember, before any of the conflicts that we've gone into, they have gotten the public support in it. It helps to have the public support. And most of you probably are thinking, well, they don't care if we support it or not. No, they don't, but it does help. I think that they're getting us all pumped up and yeah and all that, but just watch. Later on, we're going to show you. It looks like it was accidentally leaked. The gentleman was standing in front of a map in Belarus. The gentleman was standing in front of what looks like an attack map, and it going past Ukraine, and an attack map of Moldova. So was that on purpose? Was that on accident that they realized that map was in the background? Kind of feeds into what we're talking about here, and it's pretty alarming, to say the least. But if you want to read this piece, this is, again, remember, if you see this on our website, this is looking at the other side's view and how they're watching this event. And they're basically saying, now we are weak. So exactly what most of you thought they would think, they are thinking it. And they have experts looking at it and saying, we don't even think they can fight one whole big major power, let alone two. So they're basically speaking it into existence, saying, they can't take both us and Russia on. And that's not front page stuff. Nobody in the world other than China and their papers are covering that. So that's directly to their people. That's the stuff to get their people pumped up. China rattled by calls for Japan to host U.S. nuclear weapons. So it says that China has reacted angrily to calls by Japan's influential former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe for Tokyo to consider hosting U.S. nuclear weapons in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine and rising concern over Chinese aggression towards Taiwan. Abe, who presided over record defense budgets before resigning in 2020, said Japan should cast off taboos surrounding its possession of nuclear weapons following the outbreak of conflict in Europe. It says, quote, in NATO, Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands and Italy take part in nuclear sharing, hosting American nuclear weapons. Abe said in a TV interview. According to Nikkei Asia, it says, we need to understand how security is maintained around the world and not consider it taboo to have an open discussion. Conflict in Ukraine is a severe test of Beijing's new axes with Moscow. I don't really think it is. I love how they say that. It says we should firmly consider various options when we talk about how we can protect Japan and the lives of its people in this reality. He's saying it's a different reality now. We're going to have to do things. Remember, Japan also changed their laws, and they're further going to change their laws. They're basically saying they had this only defend constitution in. Dex, do you remember what it was called? It was literally called something like, no attack constitution or something. It's what is it? It's only in response.
Something, right?
Yeah, well, basically what it meant is that Japan would not do a first strike of any kind, and that it would only defend itself, and that was purely what it was. They would never jump into anything else. They wouldn't, go over and help anybody without. They wouldn't get involved in conflicts. In fact, let's see. I thought somebody said it over on D-Live, but it was somewhere else. Somebody said Georgia Guidestones. Yeah, that's think about the root of all of the things you think. Yeah, in a little bit you might think that even more. Either way, Japan, it's like, as far as Japan changing it, and now they're buying all sorts of military equipment. They are preparing their military for China, especially their involvement, and they don't want China to take Taiwan either, because they believe they are next. They've even had some of their officials say, after Taiwan, China is going to take Japan. Do you think they're right in thinking that? Do you think they're wrong? Do you think they know something we don't? And again, it says Japan, the only country to have been attacked with nuclear weapons in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, is part of the U.S. nuclear umbrella, but has for a decade adhered to 3 non-nuclear principles. And it will not produce or possess nuclear weapons that allow them on its territory. Probably for good reason, right? A lot of their people got disintegrated. So they've been maintaining a peaceful kind of outlook up until just a couple of years ago. And if you didn't get a creepy feeling when President B said that they were banning on Russian aircraft, and I don't know what would give you a creepy thought. We talked about this previously. We'll talk about that here in a second. I do want to remind you, though, if you have no outlet as far as power, if your power does go out, what do? I'd highly recommend going over and checking out a solar generator. As long as you have sun, you would have power if you end up looking into solar generators. This is called Energy. It is one of the most portable and modular systems out there. It is one of the most sought after, year after year now, 2 years in a row, one of the most sought after generators out there. There is a waiting list for this. So this is something that you would need to get onto right now to get sooner than later. Because these actually have parts in them that do require a ton of work. These are extremely, extremely well put together products. As far as my entire show, my router, my 2 power bars, all my musical equipment, everything is running on one of the Flex 1500s. This is running the show right now. It is absolutely silent, and that's what I mostly love about this. Any regular gas-powered generator is going to give it away to everyone around you that you have a generator. Now, if we do actually have a SHTF situation, that is the last thing you want. The other great part about this is it's modular. You can literally swap out parts in it. You can put more batteries if you want more batteries. You can put less if you want it to be more portable, and you just need to power a couple things. If you need to power a whole house for 2 days, well, you can stack up multiple batteries for how much power you need. That is the greatest part about this. And also, you can even put mods in that will allow it to be charged quicker. So if you want to, say, hook up twice as many solar panels, there's a mod for that. There's also basically appliances that you can plug directly into this that are low voltage that they make proprietary. Or, again, you can power anything in your house. This is DC power. It is portable, and it's modular. Again, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/energy. This is something that you do want to get earlier than later because you'll have to check what their weight is right now. I would highly recommend getting over there as soon as possible if you do want to get it. People last year waited as much as 6 months. Now that wait is way down. But people, again, last year for solar generators and generators of any kind because of the shortages went way up. So I would get it while the wait is not that long. marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. Again, you can end up using your own panels. You can go get panels from Amazon, or you can get their proprietary panels from them. That's marfooglenews.com/energy. My sister actually had and I know she's here right now and she's upstairs, and we were listening to the State of the Union together, and she is definitely somebody who has a lot of intuition. She's here because we're planning on what to do in the case of something happening. She called me pretty freaked out yesterday because of all of this going on. She has a really bad feeling, and that creeps me out because my sister's always been right on a lot of things. She doesn't follow as closely as I do, of course, but she has been right on just her gut. And sometimes you got to listen to your gut on things like this. As far as a lot of people in the Foogle fam right now are doing their own plans. I know that Dex last week, it was a big deal for him. They were going over their plans for if just the low probability that we had some sort of nuclear event, they were preparing. Well, now this week we are doing that. How would we get to our cabin? How would we get to where we are going? How would we meet up with family? These are things that people need to do now, not later. People wait until something's broken to fix it. Right now, if your plan is broken, you need to fix it like right now. You need to have a binder with plans and routes that you can take. You should be looking up, say, the power lines. If you live in the city, how to get out. Some people think maybe you should have a backup plan for that. So say if all the power line routes are blocked off, or everybody chooses to go the power lines route, you should have 4 backup plans, and that takes time to make. Dex?
One of the things I've been telling my family members and friends, and I've mentioned it in a few chats before, if you're not aware, Google Maps, the app that's at least on the iPhone, I'm sure it's the same way on Android, has this feature called offline maps. If you're not familiar with it, you should get familiar with it, because it allows you to download maps. You can select what areas and save that. And, if you don't have internet, you don't have connectivity, everything's down, the power's out, but you still have juice on your phone, you have, a way to navigate.
People will be like, well, it's Google. But here's the thing. If you have like an E-Deck bag or a Faraday bag, E-Deck, well, now it's off-grid. They make a one with a see-through window. So you can have those Google Maps on your device. It will be protected against EMP, and you'll be able to actually use your phone or your device and be able to access all of your downloaded maps. I would say that's a good thing, because you can download them, and then once you're done with that, then you have them in your possession. My sister just took some of my aunt's maps. She's like, my aunt and uncle had physical maps, and she just took a bunch of them because they had more than one of each. And I was like, did you tell them? She's like, no. It's like, that's kind of messed up. But she made sure that they had, more than one of them. But if you don't have physical maps, you don't even see them anymore. You used to see them at every gas station. They would sell, there would be panels of maps. If you don't have maps, get maps now. Or take Dex's suggestion, download the maps and have them on something. But another part of that is you might want to have that device protected in some way. You can also make your own Faraday bag if you can't afford to buy one. There are ways you can look up videos on how to actually make one. Let's see here. So when Biden announced this, my sister just said, oh my gosh, we're going to... I said, just chill out a little bit. But this is something that really creeps people out. Biden to announce a ban on Russian aircraft from U.S. airspace. President JB will announce during Tuesday night's State of the Union that the U.S. will ban Russian aircraft from U.S. airspace, joining a growing number of countries who are closing their skies to Russia following the President Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. When asked if the B administration was considering this move in recent days, Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters that a number of U.S. flights that fly over Russia to go to Asia and other parts of the world played a role in this decision. So they did that. And the way, Dex, when he said that, wasn't it kind of just how he said it? He's like, we're banning them. He yelled it like and of course it's the State of the Union, so everybody claps at everything and stands up. I thought my stomach kind of dropped when he said that.
Yeah, it sounded very ominous, and he came across very strong with it, and I agree, but at the same time, I don't know that it really makes that huge of a difference, because they're just gonna, stay a little north over Canada or go a little south, over, Mexico or somewhere else, or through more open water, right? There's other routes, so. But I get it. I get it. It goes hand in hand with this whole anything that we can do, even though it's probably not going to make much of a difference, we'll do it, right?
Well, it doesn't. Yeah, no, it's not like it's going to get him to turn around. That's what I'm saying. So it's just like a big. They're doing everything they possibly can. This is starting to creep me out. I mean, it's here. The thing is I don't want to believe it either. I don't want to believe that all of this talk that people call warmongering or fear-mongering, I don't want it to be right. But look at the stuff you've learned from our show. Look at the info that we've shown you. We have followed every little micro action by all of the countries, and they've been prepping for this for years. And now we have the thing to possibly set it off. I don't even think it's a possible thing. It's about a probable thing. It's will this all happen? If China wants to take Taiwan, what do you think they're thinking right now? And when they put out a piece just today that says they can't handle one war, how are they going to handle two? They're thinking we need to do this now. They're going to take Taiwan, and then look at what our speech said today. The U.S. said, we've got these factories on the way. Is that to put it in the back of our heads because we're about to lose Taiwan, and then we're going to have no chips? Was that preemptive? They were like, well, people are going to freak out when they realize that Taiwan, is now under China's control, and we're not going to get any of those chips. They're going to control all the APIs for antibiotics. They're going to control there's so many things. Why didn't he say in his speech today, hey, we're also going to make a factory that makes active pharmaceutical ingredients for antibiotics. So we're not getting 97% of them from China. Our adversary. They're the enemy. We won't even use their drones in our military, but we're going to let them make all of our life-saving drugs. Okay. European Parliament accepts Ukraine's application to join EU. Work remains. The European Parliament, one of the European Union's legislative branches, voted Tuesday in favor of making Ukraine a member of the Union. So again, they voted, but there's still process to this. It says Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky filed an application to join the EU just the day before, asking for fast-track admittance due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which entered its sixth day on Tuesday, according to a tweet from Fox News correspondent Jennifer Griffin. 637 Parliament members voted yes, 13 voted no, and 26 abstained. The vote does not immediately make Ukraine an EU member, but it starts the process. So that's what people are talking about, and that means China and Russia are right now pretty pissed off. And I know that China is even pissed off about this. That's a fast track of a member into the EU just like that. And then Zelensky receives standing ovation from the EU Parliament in emotional scenes. So the next couple pieces are all kind of different pieces of this. Now, if you didn't see his speech, I don't know if there's artificial emphasis on this speech. Remember that Zelensky is an actor. He came from a TV show where he actually was on a very popular show that he was, the show's premise was that he was a regular Joe taken from regular Joe to the president. And yet that's literally what happened. He has no political experience besides the beginning of when he went and ran for office, and he got put into the presidency of Ukraine. So he's a comedian and actor. In fact, like somebody commented the other night, say look up his name and in heels, right? You'll see him in heels because he did a role on TV, right? He is an actor. So I think of that when I see this beautiful speech. It doesn't matter who you support, whatever else. Even if you were touched by the speech, then it possibly did its job, or it was an amazing speech and it really meant something. I just question everything, and as far as his speech, it even made the translator, and maybe this is part of it, it made the translator teary-eyed. He got the standing ovation from the EU Parliament in emotional scenes. He basically talks, and by the way, he's good at kind of getting people pumped up. If you've heard his words, like the little video he did, and he's like, I'm out in the streets, he's here, we're all here, we're fighting with it, we're going down with the ship. These things gave an emotional response. Everybody I know that saw that said like, oh my gosh, that's so, oh, they're going down with the ship, like this is out of a movie. I'm like, it might be out of a movie. We don't know. Nobody believes anything anymore, including me. Zelensky's speech to the European Parliament leaves translator choked up with emotion. So the actual translator that was translating it actually got choked up. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky delivered this stirring address to the European Parliament on Tuesday that at one point got so emotional it had the translator choked up. So, of course, that's going to even further get people choked up. They see him choking up on this. He spoke about the tragedy that has been unfolding, the 5 days of full-scale invasion by Russia, telling European leaders, we are giving away our best people in the fight for freedom, and that 16 children perished the day before. And then, of course, so that all went down. If you haven't seen the speech, I would say go be a judge for yourself. Everything is attached over on our website. You can find all of the sources for today's show. And then Dex, I'm gonna put it on this screen for a second. Will you cover this as far as what happened to Russia's Air Force? U.S. officials stumped.
Absolutely. So before Russia's invasion of Ukraine, U.S. intelligence had predicted a likely blistering crush by Moscow that would quickly mobilize Russian air powers and its military assembled in order to dominate the skies, right? And by the way, this has happened before, like in Georgia. When they took over Georgia, it was done in hours, if not a day. They had everything under control, but that didn't necessarily happen this time. And I guess that's what's confusing, or at least, some experts and U.S. officials are stumped over it because, the first 6 days haven't necessarily seen them dominate with air power, while they certainly have had a lot of, skirmishes and things on the ground, and they've rolled in a large, we talked about last night, a 40-mile long convoy that's trying to get in, but still hasn't even made it all the way in yet. All of those things are happening, but there's not this air superiority that you would expect. And by the way, when we've rolled into countries, we immediately have air superiority. Like we roll in and, that's the first thing we take control of is the air. So I think, they're extremely outmatched. So it's kind of surprising that they wouldn't dominate, or at least that's what is being said, that they're not necessarily dominating the skies like you would expect them to. And I guess that's sort of, goes a little bit different to what the normal narrative would be. When you are doing an invasion, you would normally go in and do that, right? So I think that's kind of confusing, or at least leaving some experts wondering what's really happening there if they aren't dominating the sky.
Yeah, as far as that they're holding them back with their, kind of homemade devices and their homemade tire, stops. What about their Air Force, that a lot of their jets can compete with, at least, a couple years ago, models of our F-35Cs? What happened to those? So that's why many of us, including myself, think if they're doing this, then they're holding back. They're hitting strategic things. Some believe, I almost kind of believe, that maybe they're testing to see how the world reacts and what countries are, saying, what countries are joining into this and joining into that. See, like, who sides with who flips in this whole thing. Whose neutrality will go towards them or go towards them. And maybe this is something that was planned with China, and China's like, hey, do this, and we're going to see how it goes, and then we'll do all of this, and then we'll really take it. Once you see the next photos here, you're going to be kind of tripping out because there's possibly part of their battle plan came out on accident. We'll talk about that here in a second. Thank you over on D Live. Appreciate you guys. Tara T, Truth Twins, The Saxon, Miss Jammer, Analog by Nature. I appreciate you. V Knight, VNC, thank you so much. God bless. Next few weeks should be interesting. Yes, they will be. L Luna 3377, thank you. Gone Girl 777, wherever you are, I hope you are doing well, and I hope you are stress free. I really do hope you're okay and everything is okay with you. And then Gas Electric Beach Barbie, thank you. Charity 1956 V Knight, again, thank you for the Ninja Guinea over on D Live. Thank you guys for supporting independent. Charity 1956 says, love the generator. Everybody must have. I'm assuming you have one, and again, they're really, really freaking awesome. All right. Have you heard of the MT weather bunker for SHTF, Jordan B. Bear. MT. Have you heard of the MT? No? Or maybe I'm not getting the acronym there. And then, if you have not already, make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/prep. This helps support our channel. We do not have traditional forms of we don't have the same benefits that regular channels, like if I was a camera reviewer or if I was doing reaction videos of cute kitty videos. So if you do want to support us and you are looking to prepare yourself, this is what we ask. If you are already going to do this and you need long-term survival food, we have picked out the best company we believe is out there, the one that actually has full stock, that hasn't raised its prices, and has actual good food. I ate 7-year-old food from this company, and it was good. marfooglenews.com/prep brings you to all of the My Patriot Supply stuff. You can get long-term survival food. You can get iodine pills in the case of a nuclear event. You can get radios. You can get gadgets. You can get water purification systems that compare to the big names, but without the big price. Again, AlexiaPure is an amazing system. And again, a lot of people have the Berkey, but this is a fraction of the cost. So again, Irish Rebel, thank you so much for supporting JRL Shirts 99, oil price at $108. He is releasing some reserves that would do nothing. He needs to open up the pipeline and lease more land. He talked about nothing. Yeah, and they say that it's going to get even worse. So expect high prices and expect prices of everything to go up. So you should get stuff yesterday, not tomorrow. That is why we're also not, pushing people to get regular generators, because gas is going to be hard to find. Food could very well get hard to find if everything hits the fan. So make sure to go over and check this out. You will get a discount, $150 off on a 3-month deal. 3 months worth of food, $150 off, and 1 month of food is $50 off. So you still have the discounts. Those discounts do not stay. They left last month. They came back this month. Again, make sure to go check the website. Again, it's the first. I actually might want to check that because it might have gone up. And then Dex, did the energy generators, they did go up, didn't they?
It's mountain time, their time, so I think there's another hour or 2 left before that price hike happens. They actually have a countdown on their website, so if you're looking at it now, you could probably go. You could probably save if you make your order now.
I should have.
If you wait another couple of hours, you probably don't.
I should have mentioned that. So on the 1st, there are different things going, different prices raising for the energy. Remember that there are certain parts in the generators that they have to get from other countries because now, just like what we're talking about today, they're not made here. There are parts that are made in, other countries that actually manufacture, like microconductor chips and all of these other things that are made in Taiwan and such. So there is some sort of thing that's going, and they have to raise their prices because their prices are getting raised on them. So they are raising their prices in basically a couple hours. We've been trying to tell you guys every day for the last week. So hopefully people pay attention to that. marfooglenews.com/energy, marfooglenews.com/prep if you want to go get some food. And then Ukraine conflict. Belarus dictator stands in front of a battle map on live TV. So it says, has Lukashenko accidentally revealed Moldova will be invaded next? Belarus dictator addresses his Security Council in front of a map that seems to detail Russia's battle plan for Ukraine. So if you look, this actually shows, check this out. It shows the map. I'll zoom in here. So as you can see, there are several little plans here. Now, Dex, we can see kind of the Moldova part right here, and it shows them essentially.
Right. I think the next image has it zoomed in a little more. But yes, that, and for those who don't know where Ukraine sits, which is pretty much where he's pointing in the middle, to the left and south a little bit is where Moldova is. It's basically a buffer in between Romania, although Romania does touch on the northern part of Romania, touches the far west of Ukraine, but Moldova sort of nestled right in between Romania and Ukraine.
So what are those red lines? I mean, in traditional battle maps, doesn't that mean they're going to go through there, or is that them going into Moldova or from Moldova? Or I guess if the military could look at this, the military in our group look at this. I know that it's going to be small and blurry, but does that mean they're entering from here, or what is the red shaded area? Is that where they're going to invade? How does that work? Maybe you can pause it on here and see if you see and what that means, right? I have never been in war or any kind of conflict, as far as I've never been a soldier, but I'm sure some can look at this and see that. Dex?
Yeah, and I think the reason people are worried about this map depicts an entire battle plan, so to speak, and some of what's on the map is what's actually happened, and some of what's on the map hasn't happened, at least yet, is what they're thinking. So you've got certain parts of it that are just related to Ukraine, and it shows what their plans were and what they were going to do, and they just haven't done it yet. And then the whole Moldova part is the same thing. So it's like it obviously hasn't happened, but it's drawn up the same way on this map. So that's, everybody's sort of worried about, okay, maybe they're releasing, or they, maybe it was intentional, maybe it's just Ganda, but maybe this was sort of an accident, or at least a display of something that they might have wanted to cover up some of the information that was on it.
Wait a second. Dex, do you see that there's a American map in the left-hand corner? Did you notice that? There's a U.S. map in the upper left-hand corner of that map. I don't know if that was... Is that a picture-in-picture, or is that on the actual wall? What the hell? And what does that say? I didn't notice that the first time around. Is that just on... Is that on the video? It shows Canada with their... It's
the same blurriness as the a resolution, so to speak, as it. So it's probably from the same photograph. It's not somebody didn't overlay that. It's probably what was on the screen when he was presenting.
Okay,
there's also a whole map of Europe on there too, right above his arm.
Wow, what in the world is going on here? Okay. I did not notice that. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't notice it until you said it, but now I see it.
Why would
I was more focused on the Moldova part when I first looked at this.
Why would they need a reference for what the USA looks like? You could have a placemat for that. Like, why do they need that on the same map? If this is an attack plan, which it shows at least the Ukraine part of it and an attack plan, why would they need the U.S. on that? To say, well, have little army men go, oh, we're from the U.S. and we're going to sit here and sanction you. You don't need that for a battle plan. Why would they print that up with the USA in the corner? I don't know. Maybe it's not.
And it's printed, right? I mean, that's what it looks like to me. It's like hanging on a wall, not that it's a computer screen, a very large computer screen.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a projection unless, that looks like a...
It's kind of... Yeah, because it goes right to the edge of the door hinge. You see where it's like hanging there?
Yeah, it's one of those...
I'm assuming that's a door,
those
right?
extendable poles that holds up a paper map. Like the same thing.
They spent a lot of money to print that. Maybe their technology's really not as advanced where they could have big projection screens and,
it's not out of
a PowerPoint like normal.
It's not out of the Bond movies or something with 3D graphics, and they're like, we'll go over here and we'll swipe here, and they'll go up to a big clear glass and they'll go, here's America, and here's President B, and here's the heart and soul of Iran, and we'll move it over here, and we'll win that right there. Okay.
It was some guy's job to literally come in here with this gigantic printout and hang it up on a wall, right?
Oh my gosh. I know this is not funny because the world is just falling apart, but my wife found this clip and I was trying to do a short on it of a tank in Ukraine on the live stream. It's a video. It's a live cam, and maybe some of you saw this because everybody's watching these. The tank goes through and then stops and then backs up and then like goes in the intersection, then goes down here, goes a couple feet, then goes backwards, and then goes like this, goes that, and it was like an Austin Powers, and it went every which way, and it was like somebody was telling him like, hey, like he was trying to get to the Rite Aid or something, and he's like, I can't see, and you told me to go left at the two burning buildings, but I saw the two burning buildings on the right, so I didn't know which way I was going. Oh, you want me to take a left at the dead bodies? Okay, now I see you waving at me. It was just funny. The tank was just like the guy was lost or couldn't see out of his tank or something. It was pretty funny. I'll show you the clip. I at least got the clip of it just going like this over and over, and then it finally drives out, and it like drives fast, like it totally didn't know where it was going. Maybe he had a 10-foot battle map and he was folding it out and trying to drive based on that. And then Putin propaganda chief threatens West with destruction as nukes put on alert. If you didn't see this during the last couple days, Vladimir Putin's propaganda chief has threatened the West with nuclear annihilation during the rambling broadcast on Russian TV. News anchor Dmitry Kiselyov told viewers across Russia's 11 time zones that the West would be blown to smithereens with more than 500 nuclear warheads if it continued to threaten Moscow. So, yeah. And again, they call him his propaganda chief. He's basically one of the mouthpieces of the Putin regime, as they would say. So, Dex, Nadia Serrano says the 1st Cavalry from Fort Hood patch is on the top right. Wait a second.
Interesting. I'm going to go back and look.
Oh, what the hell? So Nadia Serrano, this is why it's so important to have the chat going. Nadia Serrano says up in the upper right-hand corner, it says the 1st Cavalry. This is why it's good to have military in our group too. The 1st Cavalry from Fort Hood patch is on the top right. So
yep, that's it.
They know where our military is. They know where we're stationed and everything. That is a battle map. They know. Wait a second. Where the hell is this map showing our troops where our troops are too? Oh, that's a mind screw right there. Because our troops are all over. 1st Cavalry. So Nadia, I don't know if you know this. Maybe you know. Obviously, you knew that that symbol right away. Where did they get deployed to? I'm sure it's a public deployment, right? That is freaky. Wow. Great. This turned out to be a very fruitful night. And then we have Vladimir Putin sends family to Siberian bunker as he prepares for nuclear war, according to a professor. The Russian president in recent days sent his family to find cover in Siberia, it has been claimed. It says his destination, a luxury high-tech bunker in the Altai Mountains, was designed for protection in the event of a nuclear war. Professor Valery Solovey, 61 years old, formerly a professor at Moscow State Institute of International Relations, made the outlandish claims this week. Professor Solovey is known for his colorful predictions and claims, previously alleging that Putin is suffering from a secret illness hidden from the public. Okay, so Dex, I know that that's probably not true, but what if, I always thought about that, like what if he found out he had 6 months to live or had cancer and he ended up wanting to do this because he's got nothing else to lose? Have you thought about that? Like what if he found out that he was going to perish, right?
Yeah, I would hope he's not that selfish. I think I've thought about, because I've seen some of the claims, and it just falls into that whole Ganda category of, oh, maybe he's ill, or he's not himself anymore. And I think, the thing I was just sort of going to is, okay, well, maybe he's just not in his right mind. Like he's, whatever's going on has got him acting a little differently. But that certainly could be the case. I guess if he's so selfish that he would just go all in on his way out the door. I guess that could be one explanation.
Well, what it trips me out, it says, but last week he was interrogated for 7 hours by the Russian authorities due to allegations he made about Putin's medical and mental condition on a Telegram site he operates, according to the Daily Mail. It says his latest claim comes as Russia launches an all-out missile attack on Ukraine's second city. So the Russian government was so concerned about him saying, like, hey, this guy's got some sort of fatal condition or something, or he's mentally not well. So they interrogated him. That almost does that add credence to it, or does it take it away?
It certainly adds a little bit, right? Because if he was just spouting off nonsense, why would they waste their time, right? There's plenty of people that spout off nonsense that they don't bother interrogating, right?
So people bring up occasionally the whole hot musket thing, and it was something that a caller called into our show for, and a lot of people ended up going viral all over the place. Everybody was covering this caller saying that there was an operation called Hot Musket on the border. Somebody said that the reason why people say that, it was fake news or whatever is because Hal Turner said that the Pentagon directly called him and said to take the story down, that it's false. So you're saying that the Pentagon spokesperson, at the time it was Lieutenant Colonel Baldanza, directly called you at 3 a.m. to take the story down because it's not true. So you're saying the Pentagon responded to the story we shared here on our little show because it wasn't true? Or do you think that they just wouldn't bother? Because how much crap is spewed all over the internet about all sorts of theories? Does the Pentagon reply to all of those? Or maybe it's because maybe it was real, and then, 3 months later, we ended up having troops at the border. Because that was the whole claim, that there was going to be troops at our southern border. And then it ended up happening. But people still use that from Hal Turner, saying that he took it down at 3 a.m. and he apologized profusely because he, of course, didn't mean to put it up. So I'm not going to talk about Hal Turner, but but as far as like him posting that the Pentagon called him at 3 a.m., if that's your proof that it was fake, then why would they respond? Same thing here. Why would they interrogate him if they didn't need to? I don't know. It's kind of odd, isn't it? Very good catch, Nadia, on that 1st Cavalry patch. That is good. Surplus Prepper, U.S. Army Cavalry patch is on the right side above arm. Oh, somebody else saw that too. Surplus Prepper, yes. Nadia Serrano caught that right before you too. 1st Cavalry from Fort Hood. That means it was printed with that in mind, that there are actual real units on that map. It's not just like a map of Ukraine that they drew on. It is an actual battle map that they are showing their generals or whoever is there. All right, and then, craziness. And then if you haven't already, we have to drop official rules because of lame platforms and things, but we are still giving away of course, an actual backpack from Off Grid and a duffel bag. 1st and 2nd prize winners. 1st prize gets to choose. 2nd prize gets what's left. Again, we are going to be giving that away. Official rules soon. marfugglenews.com/offgrid, though, if you want to purchase one. These are Faraday bags. Essentially, they work they protect against pretty much any kind of technological prying. It means that you will not be tracked. Your devices will be safe as far as from any kind of technological hacking. Again, this is the same company that was making these for official use. FBI would use these as evidence bags, again, because nobody could hack in and delete their hard drives after their computers were stolen. But these were also used official use as far as like, the agents would use them for their laptops and things, so the information would be secure. For a regular person, as far as if you don't want to be tracked by all of the platforms and everybody else, you can put your stuff in this, and it will not only be protected against electromagnetic stuff, but it will also not be giving out your signal everywhere you're going. If you're planning on, of course, going and bugging out, I'd highly recommend looking into this. And then, of course, their Faraday duffel bag. It is a huge duffel bag. The entire thing is insulated for electromagnetic. This thing is really, really badass. You can go over and get them right now if you want. marfooglenews.com/offgrid. Use the code Marfoogle and save. All right, Dex, talk about the. Let's talk about the web only. We had a lot in there.
Absolutely. So head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, and scroll down to web-only content, and you'll find the rest of the story. If you're on YouTube, open that description, the first link there called show notes. Lots going on there, and you might even, I don't know if you reloaded it or not. I've added some tweets. I've got some other updates in there. There's plenty of information, including stuff we can't cover. So yeah, you don't even have the latest. It's that fresh. We keep updating. So for those of you that were watching the State of the Union, there was a shout out in the middle of it about 13, and that person has come forward. It was Lauren Bobart, and you can see what she had said. Other things going on, including some interesting scenes from there. Plenty of other topics that are either too hot for TV or we just didn't have time for, or it's too political or too far to one side. So go check it out. It's all there on marfooglenews.com. We do this on every show. So if you haven't gone there, you're missing out on the rest of the story. So definitely it's worth looking into. It's worth getting the rest of the news that we just couldn't get to or cover. And our troops in Iraq, including stuff going on with the current stuff with Russia and Ukraine. There's a lot of overflow content on there as well.
And by the way, I saw this. When I saw this, I go, because she stood up. She did a standing ovation for breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits. And she was like,
the wrists coming together. Yeah, it was crazy, huh?
Yeah. So I'll just kind of scroll through this. He basically says that. He says, breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits. And then watch her behind. It's like, and then, oh yeah, just normal, just, and then Monty Burns. Burning pits of toxic waste. Yeah, stand off. And then the funniest part, she like looks at Kamala. Standing ovation for everything, because it's the State of the Union. Wait, no, nobody else is standing. Okay, I'll just stand here for a while. And then she gets down, and then Kamala's face is like, "What are you doing?" Not going to give further opinion about it, but you can go watch the speech for yourself and see that. And then that yelling out, I listened to it 50 times and I did not know. I thought I heard 13, but Lowen Bobert basically said he put 13 in the ground. All right, guys, lots of stuff over there. Make sure to go check it out. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Make sure to share our show out. It is not shared without you. You guys are part of our military, so make sure to get out there and spread the word about Marfoogle News. Make sure to tell your coworkers, your friends. Make sure to get it out there because you guys is what it's about. So, Dex, thank you for your service tonight. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Much love, brother. Great.
Thank you, mods. Remember, the mods are, again, doing a great service down there. Make sure to thank them. And thank you all, everybody that pops in. It is now time for a shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. Putin will never win the heart of Iran. Putin will never win the heart of Iran. Putin will never win the heart of Iran.
was going back right. Once was going back right. I see you. Zero shirt, 99 too. Irish rebel in the night of your Serrano. I say I go away all day. Simply pony in the QH777 and no pay. I would have it bow. I know everybody knows you. Eric Newcomb, I welcome you. Whoa, 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 whoa. Once was going back right. Once was going back right. Putin will never win the heart of Iran. Putin will never win the heart of Iran.
Big thank you to Lisa R. Hall. Make sure to go check out her first live stream. Great mod, wonderful lady, sweetest person here. JStone78, thank you for being here. We've got WIS John Bones, the wonderful mod from the pod. Niall Adamson, Rip Curl Readiness, Ilea, Daryl Calhoun, Tremendous Moss, Robert Arias.
I said, bring it down, bring it down. We know that we're gonna be under his crown. Belfort, Lash, and Island V. Gelwood, Rich, and Mandy C. AJ, Animus, Grammar 1. Shady J, emoji of hearts on the run. Once was going back right. Once was going back right. FBL, the wrestling mermaid. Greg Davis, Brian Cunningham. Smoking Silas and Stale Nixon. Bill P, Yellow Brick Road, and Laguna Berry. American Truth Seeker, everything is scary. Hey, Joseph Newhouse, everybody knew how everything changed so quickly. Rodney, thank you for supporting us. Breathe down now, Isabel made a rust. A Bible talk of common people everybody loves. The way that everybody does it. I said James Fox, Catbird, Prepper, everybody, Bobby, Australia, Webber. I know everyone knows that you love. For real peace, love the show, make sure. Stacking gold and silver, economic collapse coming, and Daniel Vargas thinking you. Going back. I knew that you would. I knew that you would try. I knew I would die. I was going loving you. I knew that you would. I knew that you would try. I knew I would die. I was going loving you. I knew that you would. I knew that you would try. I knew I would die. I got the Brian Cunningham and everybody say, oh man, smoking stylist and no band and everybody nods. pockets and I'm bringing back on down. I got crypto energy, fertilizer, and they gonna go half now. Bring it back around, bring it back around, do it back around now. Got all my friends are here, all my friends are here. Charlie Abercrombie now. Got a Tennessee Tactical on the best one, Manny C, Lisa R. Holland, the Simply Pony, a Dex J, Sean Samuels, and the Don DeMar K. I got a C on the Steve with the Phoenix K, and the Phoenix S, and the Venus May, and the Rachel F, and the Paul Nelson, and the Nielsen Way, and the Nielsen Y. Hey, with the Robert Arias, and everybody telling us we're gonna die us, but no, 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 we're gonna pray for a change. I was going loving you. I knew that you would. I knew that you would try. I knew I would die. Thanks, Foogle family. Keep on praying. Peace and love. Rockwell, Art, Debbie Rogers in the MUV. Oh, now I'm back. Well, I swear it's weird world. The best and tightest YouTube family, hands down. Word. Got an agenda of revelation and Satan's work. Have time to fire it up and spread it around and jam the sound with the found and Mark's funked. Confederate psycho, Confederate psycho. Everybody knows it's made in 2 seconds, yo. Confederate psycho, Confederate psycho. Maybe might stay Michael. Confederate psycho, Confederate psycho. Maybe might stay Michael.
This music sucks.
Confederate psycho, Confederate psycho. Maybe might stay Michael.
This music sucks.
Confederate psycho,
I was going
Confederate
loving
psycho.
you. I knew that you would. I knew